our best. So if you can all please join me to do the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence for those who have been impacted by the COVID-19 virus. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. So just like with our regular meetings, this portion of the meeting is reserved for public comment. And we ask that members of the public limit their comments to 2 minutes, and any person who is interested in participating was asked to send in an email to publicmeetings@rockyhillct.gov, and then you would be provided with instructions and a link how to join the meeting and how to add your comments. But as of now, we have not had anyone in the public comment queue. So I'm going to move forward. If for some reason you're having a problem logging in, we can always circle back if we're not too far into the meeting. So I'm moving on now to item 3, appointments and resignations. Do we have any? Mr. Duff?
No, we do not from our side.
Okay.
No appointment resignations on our side.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to approval of the minutes from March 2nd, which would have been in your packet from the meeting before that was canceled. Do I have a motion on that?
Motion to approve the minutes from the March 2nd council meeting.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving along to subcommittee reports. We'll begin with finance.
The Finance Committee did not meet last month. We do have our next meeting scheduled for April 16th at 6 p.m. and it will be done via a Zoom meeting.
Wonderful. Government operations.
Tonight's government operations meeting was canceled, but I believe John Mayer has a couple updates to share with everybody.
Yes, the town's still moving forward on the replacement of the steps at the high school this summer. Depending on the school reopening and the date, it could start earlier than the middle of June. We anticipate that to be the latest date, since the governor is allowing schools, I guess, to close at their regularly scheduled dates. They're not applying that 180 June 30th rule to that. So we plan on doing the steps this summer still. And the Board of Ed, Chuck submitted documents relating to the high school project to start closing that project out, and therefore getting the town getting the school grant money associated with that project. So that's going to be filed this week. And I'll touch base on the community senior center further in old business. I think that covers it for government ops for right now.
Okay, thank you. Public safety.
Sure. Public safety did meet on March 16th, our regularly scheduled meeting. I think it was the last town meeting in person for committees and councils and planning and zoning and what have you. That meeting in its entirety is scheduled and playing back. If you go to the town website, on the right-hand side, immediately on the right-hand side, upon landing on the site, you will have a link. There's the governor's comments, the town comments, social services, and a COVID page, also code red alerts. So you can watch that meeting. At that meeting, the Central Connecticut Health District, Charles Brown came, and he was the main presenter. We had all the chiefs, all the marshals, including Town Manager John Mayer was there at that meeting. And it primarily focused on the pandemic that was just springing upon us at that time. But believe it or not, back on February 28th, James Bellinger, who is the deputy manager of emergency management team here in Rocky Hill, provided a full briefing to me February 28th at 8 a.m. and went over the entire structure. We did point that out at that March 16th meeting, how the town is structured. Little did we know, right? And then in addition to public safety having met on that date, I know that the emergency management team has been meeting regularly. They have regular video conference calls, and that includes all the chiefs, marshals, EMS, ambulance, public safety official from the Connecticut Central Health District. So I want to assure everybody that crew is meeting and talking regularly. And if they need an extra meeting in between meetings, they will even schedule that. So they are doing video conferencing as well. I don't know if there's any questions regarding the public safety at this time, but that's what public safety did.
Okay, thank you. Senior Liaison?
The Senior Liaison Committee did not meet. Our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for April 27th. And I will circle back at a later time with our town manager, John Mayer, Councilor Thoreau, and Councilor Sharmut to see if we're going to do a Zoom meeting at that time. Even though we did not meet, though, I would like to provide an update from Missy Hicks. And we have been in touch with Missy at Human Services. And Missy wanted me to let everybody know that any seniors that need transportation to medical appointments or to the grocery store can still contact Transportation Services or email Charlene Mayer. And the phone number is 860-258-2701. The town is also providing home delivery of lunches for any seniors that need a lunch delivered because our senior lunch program has temporarily stopped. And Missy said that anybody that has questions or concerns can reach Human Services at 860-258-2799. The last thing she asked me to let you know is that the April newsletter is available. It is on the town website at www.rockyhillct.gov. And if you click on departments and then scroll down to Senior Center, on the left-hand side, you'll see the Pivotal Press Senior Newsletter. Anybody that can't access this electronically could call Human Services and they'll mail you a copy.
Wonderful, thank you. Moving on to land acquisition and farmland preservation.
Farmland Preservation and Acquisition Committee March 16th meeting was canceled. We did not meet, and the next regularly scheduled meeting will be April 20th. And don't know yet whether or not we'll be canceled or not, or have it.
Thank you. Liaison to the state representative and the state senator.
Sure. The state rep Carrie Wood does provide a very regular briefing. Her role right now is informational. As the governor has exercised executive actions and orders, so state rep is providing a statement of what's going on from the governor's calls and other meetings. I know John attends those governor calls. I know Mayor, you attend them as well. But Carrie Wood does provide a very regular, lengthy email update.
Thank you.
On COVID-19.
Thank you. A school liaison.
Yeah, so the school liaison did not meet, the committee did not meet, and we have no report at this point. We are regularly scheduled for April 27th at 5:30 p.m., but not sure if we will be able to have that meeting on Zoom. I will, defer to Mr. John Mayer for his guidance on that. And if we do have a meeting, obviously we'll have it on Zoom.
Awesome. Thank you. And then finally, Economic Development Subcommittee.
The Economic Development Subcommittee did not meet, and we do not have a meeting scheduled at this time.
Okay, thank you. Moving along to the next item, consent agenda. I don't believe we have anything on that. So we will go down to old business. A, discussion possible action, community/senior center.
John, I think you're muted.
You're on mute, John. Now it's a web conference.
Okay,
Welcome
welcome
back.
back. Thank you. The bid documents for the Community Senior Center have been posted on DAS and been advertised in the paper. Getting a lot of interest in it. And the scheduled walkthrough was for last Friday, and instead of doing a physical walkthrough, they did a virtual tour. I think primarily using Skype, and they had at least 50 participants viewing that walkthrough, and apparently it went quite well considering it was done over the computer. And we're still continuing on with this project because the governor has deemed construction a essential business. So we are anticipating probably putting out one more addendum, providing the prevailing wage scales as well as any updates that might have come through as far as questions relating to that came up during the walkthrough. So those bids are due back April 23rd. And if the town is going to move forward with this project, hopefully we'll award a contract to a general contractor, either the first or second meeting in May.
Excellent. Okay, moving on to new business. Letter A, approval of the lease agreement for 2252 Silestein Highway.
You want to make a motion, or you want me to?
I didn't know if you wanted to explain that.
Okay. Yeah. Ray Carpentino and myself started negotiating with the property owner next to the parking lot on the town employee parking lot on Church Street for the use of his land for the next 2 years, and associated with the Community Senior Center project to use as swing space, storage, parking, or whatever. So we negotiated a 2-year deal at $750 a month, and just looking for approval of town council approval of that lease deal.
Okay.
The money's been allocated in non-reoccurring, so it's not really affecting the project budget.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the town resolution of April 6, 2020 for lease agreement for 2252 Silestein Highway.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you have to do it by roll? Do you have to do it by like a roll call
Because it's a
to
resolution.
designate who is voting yes or no?
Okay, we could do that. Sure. Why don't we go then via roll call, beginning with Mr. Emmanuel,
Affirmative.
Mr. Duff,
Aye.
Ms. Thoreau,
Yes.
Mr. Malero,
Approved.
Mr. Greenspan,
Aye.
Mr. Sharmat,
Aye.
Mr. Prakash,
Aye.
Mr. Levine,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Motion carries. Moving on to authorization for the sale of 65 Walnut Road. I believe we will be tabling that.
I'll make a motion to table the sale of 65 Walnut Road.
Second.
Okay, we'll go again through the roll call. Mr. Emmanuel,
Affirmative.
Mr. Duff,
Aye.
Ms. Thoreau,
Aye.
Mr. Malero,
Aye.
Mr. Greenspan,
Aye.
Mr. Sharma,
Aye.
Mr. Prakash, Mr. Levine.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Motion carries. Moving on to item C of new business, approval of the 4 resolutions for Stevens School Roof Replacement Project. A, establishing a building committee. B, the preparation of schematic drawings. C, filing grant application with the state. And D, local funding authorization.
Yes, the Board of Ed's School Facilities Committee is planning on replacing the roofs at Stevens, West Hill, and Griswold over the next 3 years. So and part of the process is that these projects do qualify for reimbursement through a state school construction grant. Part of the process of applying for those grants are to have 4 resolutions being approved by the town council that the mayor just read to be included in their application for the grant. So in order for them to move forward, they need these 4 resolutions approved so that they can submit the application to the school construction grant department to hopefully get up to around 35% reimbursement, cost reimbursement. And the problem is that they can only apply the first 10 days of the month. So they would have to get these approvals and apply by the 10th of April, or else they would be put off for another 30 days. And have to do it in May.
And John, just for purposes of explanation, or actually, why don't we go ahead and do the motion first, and then we can do the discussion.
So the motion is for each resolution on its own. So we're doing this 4 times.
Well, I think you have to approve. You have to approve all 4 or none. So.
Question to staff, John, are we able to package them as one vote, or will we do 4 separate votes?
I think you can package them as one, because all 4 of them need to be passed. So you want to go all the way through A and then you reject D. So A through C and then reject D. So I would just say approve the 4 resolutions associated with the Stevens School Roof Replacement Project for application for a school construction grant.
Understood. I'll make a motion to approve the town council resolution on April 6, 2020 of the Stevens School Roof Replacement Project established by their building committee for the items delineated in A, B, C, and D as written in our packet.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Just before we get into discussion, I think it's worth noting that just to reiterate what town manager said, this is more of an application formality. And so this is not legally binding upon us to actually move forward with this particular capital improvement project, but rather it enables the Board of Education to get into the queue with the state for potential reimbursement of up to 35%. And frankly, there are just so many ungivens right now as a result of what's happening with our health crisis. We don't know if money will be available from the state. We don't know that money will be available within our own budget. But because it's sort of premature to determine what we can and cannot fund at this point, not having our budget books, and because it is necessary for the Board of Education to sort of jump into that queue, we have been presented with these resolutions. And so now we can have some discussion.
So I just had a few questions, and John, I'll give them to you because I think that they might all kind of run together as part of the same explanation. So the amount is $1.2 million. How did we arrive at that amount? Does it include just the roofs or the air conditioning? I think we've done some work there as well. And then Section 408 of the town charter has the obligatory referendum piece, which I believe the threshold is for over $300,000. Now, is that just for items that aren't going to be bonded or budgeted? So I guess how do we make sure that we're on the right side of that? So 3 questions.
Okay, the first question is, the Board of Ed has had a architect and a HVAC consultant reviewing this. So they provided us with that $1.2 million number.
The second one was, does that include the HVAC as well, or just the roofs?
Yeah, it would include the roof and the air conditioning.
And then third, just explain, like, so this is not an item we'd have to go out to referendum for because it'd be part of the CIP in the next upcoming budget.
When you exceed that dollar amount, as long as you budgeted for it, you don't need to go to referendum. Those are the 2 options. Budget for it, therefore it's incorporated in your mill rate, or do a referendum and then you finance it over a period of years.
So this wouldn't lock us into spending that money. It just would give, I guess, it would allow us to include it as a budget item in the future.
Right now, it would be an appropriation for that money in the budget. Still, with town council, would need to authorize spending that money at a later date.
Thank you.
But you would need to include it in your 2021 budget as a capital improvement item.
Is there any other questions? Any comments? Shall we vote then? All in favor? Oh, sorry. We're in a roll call. All right, Mr. Emanuel.
Affirmative.
Okay, Mr. Duff.
Aye.
Ms. Thoreau.
Aye.
Mr. Malero.
Aye.
Mr. Greenspan.
Aye.
Mr. Sharmat.
Aye.
Mr. Prakash.
Aye.
Mr. Levine.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, guys. Moving down to new business item D, an update on Straska Farm.
The town went out soliciting bids for farmers to lease some land at Straska Farm. We received 3 bid responses, one from Gilbert, Fairweather Acres, and Hayes Farm. We were waiting till we got our soil report back, which we received Friday afternoon from Kip. So it's a matter of reviewing that and probably setting up sometime in the near future to meet with the farmers and discuss options, as Ray is working on preparing a lease document based on information he's received from various groups associated with farming for the town attorney to review. So we did get the soil report back and 3 bids from 3 local farmers.
Great, thank you. And then finally, E, discussion Rocky Hill / COVID.
I think you have a question on the, I think Chris has a question on the farm.
Yeah,
Okay,
earlier Ed mentioned that, or Councilor Sherman mentioned that we're not sure about the scheduling of land acquisition and farmland preservation. Is there any action that would be needed on behalf of that board, which functions as the Ag Commission, to approve or give consent to any of the other processes, or is it just running through Ray and the town?
None that I'm aware of at this time, other than for a new acquisition of new farmland. This one's already passed. So most everything that we get in, and John can correct me, could come in the form of the update here at council. If there were action needed, we could vote on it.
Right.
Good.
Anyone else? Okay, then we'll move on to item E, discussion about town and the virus.
Okay, continuing on, the town hall is closed to the public. High percentage of the town employees are working from home following the governor's stay safe, stay home policy. The police department is only open, the lobby is only open to the public. Human services is closed, the library is closed, the community senior center is closed, the dog park's closed. We closed the transfer station. The town does provide rubbish removal as well as recyclable removal on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So those people that were bringing their home or household garbage to the transfer stations can call the sanitation department or highway department and request a garbage bin to be delivered to their house, so that their garbage would be taken away on Thursday or on a weekly basis, and so on. The playgrounds are closed. The basketball courts are no longer in use. The baskets are either taken down or the basketboards are down. The tennis courts are closed as well, and I believe McVicker Field is locked up. The town clerk, there is at least one person in the office from 8:30 to 2 o'clock to handle any transactions needed from real estate, marriage license, and items related to the funeral homes. Human Services has somebody there helping out with the seniors if they need food or any assistance. There's people there. The minibus is operating on a daily basis, taking people to the bank, to doctor's appointments, as well as to grocery stores. Other than that, indirectly related to this is an executive order that the governor issued last week. I believe it's Executive Order S7S, relating to the deferment or delay in property taxes or a reduction in interest rates, that all towns will need to choose one option or both options to do. And that option, that decision has to be turned back to OPM by April 25th. So I believe this will be an agenda item on the Finance Committee meeting in 2 weeks. And then it will need to be discussed and decision made on the deferment and the interest rates. So the deferment relates more to that the town tax bills go out July 1st, and always in the past they would be due the first Monday or weekday in August. The deferment would put on 90 days, so the payment wouldn't be due this year until October 1st. And the other option is the interest rate on delinquent taxes is 18%, and you could reduce it down to 3% for the first 3 months or 90 days. I just got some information from OPM this evening, and I'll forward it out to the town council for their digestion of it. It's primarily 9 pages of explanations, and but that's the 2 main issues that the council will have to decide on. And I think other than that, I don't have anything unless you have anything, Lisa.
Just have my mayor's report. So
I was just going to add, Lisa, without preempting the mayor's report, anyway, just that, just again to reassure everyone that that the emergency task force team is under the direction of John Mayer and is meeting regularly. If you go to the best place to ground yourself on the numbers of the state of Connecticut, go to the Rocky Hill website. Immediately to the right is a blue banner column. At the very top, it's labeled Governor's Social Distancing Message. There is only one link posted there, portal.ct.gov/coronavirus. If you click on that, you will come to a page that will have a tab that says Test Data. You click on that big blue box that says Test Data, and you get a 5 to 7 page report. It's updated every single day at 4, and that will be the confirmed numbers, despite numbers that are some, you might know somebody or something, or you're watching TV for the state of Connecticut. Those are the numbers that the Central Connecticut Health District briefs the emergency management team on regularly. And so those are the numbers as they confirm them and put them in. So that's your grounding point every day. I recommend looking at it every 3 to 4 days just to give yourself some perspective, because sometimes it changes and sometimes it doesn't. But that is your source for testing data. Where are we with hospitalization and what have you? And Lisa, are you going to touch on some of the numbers from today's report?
I am not, no.
Oh, you're not? Just that on that report, which is available to all of you, in Connecticut, 7,000 cases, 206 deaths, a 3% death rate, and it's moving up the 91, 94, 84 corridors from New York. So that's how the wave is coming up, and that's all I wanted to add for the COVID.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on now to the mayor's report. So it was about 20 weeks ago that we appeared before you for the first time as a new administration, right? With new goals and a new vision. And never in a million years could we have ever envisioned having to come to you in this manner via video conference because of a global pandemic, because of social distancing requirements, and because we are in a race to save lives and protect our vulnerable population and slow the spread of the new novel coronavirus known as COVID-19. I want to reassure all of you tonight that we are as prepared as we could possibly be in Rocky Hill. And in fact, if you have not watched the emergency management folks when they came to public safety, we've actually been prepared in our district for a pandemic since 2001. For the past several weeks, the town manager and I have been in continuous contact with officials at every level, from the White House to the state level and the local levels. We participate in numerous conferences and briefings, and we are being led through this health crisis by the Central Connecticut Health District, who is following the recommendations of our state Department of Health to ensure that we have strict mitigation strategies here in place in Rocky Hill. And I want you all to know that our first responders are prepared to do whatever they have to do to keep you safe. As the town manager has mentioned, if you ventured out, you will notice a lot of our mitigation strategies in place. And specifically, we know we started with closing our senior center to protect our vulnerable population. And thereafter, we began closing more things like our schools and parks. And, each one of those steps has an impact in its own individual capacity. But combined with the governor's restrictions and the totality of our efforts and the timeliness of those efforts, we have strengthened even more our powerful weapon to fight this virus. And in fact, our only weapon, and that is to flatten the curve through social distancing. And so on behalf of the entire council tonight, I want to thank each and every one of you for understanding and for supporting that and for doing your part to stay safe and stay home and to help slow the spread of this virus. According to the governor's last model, we know, as Mr. Sharmat has just mentioned, that the virus is still moving up this way through Fairfield County, eventually into New Haven County, and then up here into Hartford County. So I cannot impress upon you enough the importance of staying home, the importance of social distancing at this time, because we know that while most folks will be okay, they will recover okay. There's a big percentage, I want to say last I heard it was about 25% of folks who are asymptomatic. And so we want to make sure that those folks aren't out and about and potentially spreading it without even knowing to our vulnerable population. So our hospitals, our healthcare providers, and our first responders need your help more than ever over the next several weeks. And we know they are always there for us. And folks, now it's our turn to be there for them. So this is not a time to panic. Please don't panic. Remember, you are not alone. We will get through this together. Take a deep breath and understand you're going to see those numbers go up, and it may be significant, but please remember it is a temporary situation. And instead of focusing on those numbers, focus on something that you can control, like your actions, like staying home, staying safe, and knowing that we will get through it together. As Councilor Sharma mentioned, we have a dedicated COVID-19 page, www.rockyhillct.gov. For those folks who do not have internet access, we will show that information on this public access TV station. And also we will be sending home a letter shortly in the mail to all residents with information and supporting resources for you to get through the next few weeks. So in conclusion, for those who have fallen ill, for those with family who have passed, for those who may be feeling isolated or afraid, I pray for your strength and comfort. And for those on the front lines of this war, and especially our Rocky Hill medical providers, our first responders, our nursing home folks, I pray for your continued safety and thank God every day for giving us such a great gift. And that is all of you for your sacrifice and your hard work to keep us safe. So thank you. And now I'm going to turn back to John in the station for his town manager's report.
Unmute, John.
Thank you. Today, we had a swearing in of a new police officer coming to us to Rocky Hill from Manchester with over 20 years experience. We did the swearing in ceremony in the community center parking lot. Everybody was spread out within 6 feet and so on. And so we added another police officer to the ranks. We did have, over the past few weeks, I believe 2 retirements, as well as 2 police officers transferring one to the state police and a second one transferring out of state to, I believe, somewhere in Florida. The bond commission is supposed to be meeting on April 8th to approve funding of hopefully the LoSUP money and the town road aid. So we should be getting that money in soon. the state of Connecticut did move up payment of the casino or the Pequot money, and we received that earlier this month, or end of last month, excuse me. I think that was a month ahead of schedule. The project that was delayed last fall, the paving of Dividend Road, that's on schedule to start on April 28th. And last week, we received a phone call from Simonize, company down on Dividend Road, that was going to donate $5,000 to the food pantry to help out with that effort. And then with all these executive orders that the governor's been making, one of them allowed towns to add 30 days to their budgeting process. So took advantage of that, and our goal is to hopefully get a proposed budget out this week. Friday is Good Friday, and technically we're closed, but we're hopefully going to try to get it out by Thursday to the town council, or at the latest Monday, the 13th, and it'll be available to the public on the hopefully on the 13th as well. And then review, and then at the April 20th town council meeting, we may need to discuss how we want to go about review. We need to do a public hearing on the budget according to the charter, and how we want to go about so that we can adopt the budget by May 18th. So, and I think that covers everything I have on my list.
John,
John,
Go ahead, Pankaj.
no, John, just a quick question on the food pantry. I was just wondering if there is a way to, on the website, for the residents to go and look for that information, because I was wondering myself and how to actually donate to the food pantry, if individuals want to do that.
I think what we're encouraging is monetary donations at this point in time, so that we're not taking in, canned goods during this environment that we're in. So monetary donations, or similar to, I believe, an organization, Unico, donated some gift cards for various restaurants in the area. So something like that would probably go a long way in this environment.
Sure, and where should that check go, John?
You could mail it to attention to the Human Service Department at 699 Old Main Street, Rocky Hill, 06067.
Thank you, John.
I got one question also.
Okay.
John, you when you're talking about the budget, I believe, and I'll have to double check it, but the governor waived the requirement for public hearing as an executive order for municipal budgets.
Well, that could be true. A lot of the waiving that they did affected those towns that have to have town meetings to approve a budget, or a referendum as well, and they were relying on the first selectman to adopt the budget. But we can check back to see if there is a need for a public hearing.
And if there is one, I assume we could do it on Zoom, or allow for comments to be sent in via email. I mean, we could discuss that, but
Yeah.
to kind of keep the process moving.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
John, a lot of folks walking out on sidewalks to get a little fresh air. When does I think I asked you this before, but I can't remember, the Silestein streetscape begins. When is that side going to be tore up?
Thank you. I forgot to mention that one. That's out to bid right now, and that probably won't happen till, I'm not exactly sure, late this summer or sometime this summer. It would be the earliest that would start being worked on.
Thanks.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Mayor? All right, so hearing none, we will move on then to, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Again.
Aye.
I do a roll call. All right, Mr. Manuel,
Affirmative.
Mr. Duff,
Aye.
Ms. Thoreau,
Aye.
Mr. Malero.
Aye.
Mr. Greenspan,
Aye.
Mr. Sharmat,
Aye.
Mr. Prakash,
Aye.
Mr. Levine,
Aye.
myself, aye. All right, so motion carries. Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.